Dr. Ashok, let me quickly draw you in here now on the higher education sector as well. Let's talk a bit about the education sector, and let's also talk a bit about the guarantees as well. Now, Modi ki guarantees is something the government has been speaking about a lot. You are with the app, I know, and you all have also been speaking about your own incentives, which the BJP has labelled as freebies, but that has been something obviously that has worked in favour for you. Now, as far as the Modi ki guarantees as well is concerned, there needs to be allocations to fund all of this as well. Do you expect perhaps a mention of that as well, on certain promises, on certain guarantees, on the fund allocation for that today? And also as far as the education sector is concerned, please tell us what your expectations are. Dr. Ashok Mittal. Can you hear me, sir? Okay, yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you now.
As I said in my earlier address, if the public, the audience, the electorate is getting advantages because of anything, I think we must appreciate that. Our party has offered certain advantages to public. Central government is also doing or giving certain advantages to public. Other state governments are also doing and giving certain advantages to public. So anything which helps public, I think there is nothing wrong in that. Ours is a welfare state. We are a welfare country. So whosoever offers certain advantages to public in a transparent manner, without any discrimination, what is wrong in that? It's fine. It should be. This is what the state government works. Even in USA, even in UK, even in other European countries, advanced economies, old democracies, all these things are there. So why should we deprive of our audience, our electorate, our public in India? So as far as I am concerned, I appreciate. We should take care of our public, whatever we can.
Yes. Yes,
and as far as education is concerned.
Yes, Dr. Mittal. Complete your point and then I'll get in Vikram Bakshi. I'm coming to you in a second.
Modi ji ki guarantee, because of that, the public is being benefited. It's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Okay. No, but what about the education sector now?
Yeah, education sector, as I said, in higher education, the increase in spend is very limited. That needs to be increased. Number one. Number two, in school education, though there is a good spend by all the government, state government, central government, but what lacks is the quality of education, what lacks the delivery of education to the student, to the last mile person who is a student. The quality is lacking. I think if we do that effectively and take certain measures to check quality, it will do wonderfully well.
Okay. Yes, Vikram Bakshi.
I wanted to bring a very important point. I don't know whether we have missed it or not. The tourism is the biggest money earner as far as India is concerned. It was highlighted in G20, and this has to be done at a very fast pace. We have so much of reserves in tourism which can be exploited, which can be brought out. All states. So I personally feel there should be special study on tourism, how it can be developed the more, and it is the quickest way of earning. You get the returns absolutely fast. So I personally feel, though I may sound like a trader, but let me tell you one thing, this is a very important aspect. And when you're talking of trader, Dr. Ashok had brought a very good point. We should not, we should keep the morale of the shopkeepers high. As Napoleon regretted by saying, then calling United Kingdom a nation of shopkeepers, and very soon he lost all his campaigns. So I personally feel we must look after these two aspects very much, especially tourism, which I personally want to bring. Of course, defense is coming up, so there is nothing to worry on that issue.
Yes. Also, of course, very clearly, Ajay Dua, it is going to also be an opportunity for the government today to get some good headlines, and as I was saying earlier, election year, any government would want some good headlines. What do you believe those good headline-worthy moments could possibly be today in the Finance Minister's speech or announcements? Also, do you expect, as far as the government to convey its focus on certain trust areas which perhaps could see certain key increase in outlays or expenditure grants today?
Uday, the temptation before the government and any government, elected government, is going to be that though it's an interim budget, which will be supplemented by the longer and a fuller budget later, that why not, with the elections looming, a few weeks ahead, why not make use of it and increase the flows to the voter at large? Very legitimate. Now, nothing against it, as long as I would say that forms a part of the ongoing government's schemes towards looking after the sectors and the segments of the economy which need assistance. So number one, I would say the continuation of the food subsidy scheme, subsidized grains being given. Government would certainly provide for it. It has now committed to do it for 5 years. And that assurance, though it was being said that why are you giving it to 800 million people, 810 million people out of a population of 140, why not reduce it and give it to only the fewer people? I don't think.
All right, Ajay, just give me a second. We are getting live visuals now coming in of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman leaving from her residence. So the FM now, these are the first pictures we are seeing of hers this morning. All eyes, of course, will be on her today as she presents the interim budget in Parliament. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman leaving from her residence. She is now on her way to the Finance Ministry. Remember, the MOS Finance, the two MOS Finances have already reached there. We are now expecting the FM to reach there in a few moments from now. The Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman leaving from her residence. These are live pictures coming in of her vehicle on the way to the Finance Ministry. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, a second, again, as I'm saying, while the government would certainly provide for a quarter of the capital expenditure which it will be required to do undertake later, and we must recall that it's been the government effort which has revived the economy much more than the private sector, which during the pandemic, for obvious reasons, wasn't so active. But the government has front-loaded the capital expenditure, and I do expect that would continue. And that's more by way of assurance and making sure that there is continuity and there is no stopping just because their elections are coming. But a third one, and I think this is something which has both political rewards as well as there is a requirement of it in the country, that is ruralizing your expenditure much more than we have hitherto done. We know that private sector can do a lot more in the urban areas, in the metropolitan towns, etc., industrial sector, but in the agrarian sector of the economy, which continues to be the mainstay, there is need for productivity increase. There is need for productivity, be it from irrigated crops or non-irrigated crops, both. There is also need to make sure that the inputs for them become available more easily, and finally, that the people who do not get engaged in agriculture, they do not migrate to the urban areas where the cost of living is different, where there are problems imposed. Problems automatically come up when people do not have jobs. That as much gets done for creating job opportunities in the rural areas as is required outside agriculture, because agriculture cannot be continued to be loaded by excessive labor. But it doesn't necessarily mean that those people come into urban areas where again there are constraints. So I would expect that the National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, which is merely to keep the body and the soul together, not necessarily to is adding up to the it's more of a welfare measure than I would say productive measure. So I would say that the scheme would also get provided for, particularly in certain states where it has taken off well, but the states are not able to find the requisite money to support a scheme which is a central scheme.
Okay. So these, of course, are live pictures that continue to come in of the Finance Minister, Nirmala Sitharaman. She is on her way to North Block, where, of course, the movement will, of course, then happen very, very shortly of the FM from North Block to the Rashtrapati Bhavan as well. This is the convoy of the Finance Minister, which is on the way. These are breaking visuals coming in. The convoy of the FM is on its way from her residence to North Block, which is where the Ministry of Finance, of course, is. The other key officials, the other key, her ministers of state have, of course, reached there. Now all eyes on the FM, Nirmala Sitharaman. Let's also quickly bring in Akshit Gupta into the conversation. Akshit, I think, is at the FM's residence. Nirmala Sitharaman has just departed from there. Are things running on track? Is the schedule on track? What happens next, Akshit?
Well, yesterday it's the day when the economic fate of the country is decided, and we come to you live from the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman's residence. There, of course, you can see, she has just departed from her residence for the Finance Ministry. Of course, she will be heading to the North Block now. MOS Finance has already reached there, and after that, the Finance Minister will be heading towards Rashtrapati Bhavan. And when we talk about her schedule, then there is a photo of also at the Parliament House when she enters the Parliament House, and post that the budget presentation will begin at 11 a.m. in the morning. That's what we are learning. And at around 4 p.m. in the evening, Finance Minister will also be holding a press conference, about the key takeaways from the budget. And also, very importantly, when we talk about the budget 2024, then it's an interim budget, as we all know. The last budget of the Narendra Modi government ahead of the 2024 elections. So, of course, this is a vote on account, which means that a vote on account is passed after the budget is tabled in the Parliament, so that a fund can be allocated to the government for their expenditure for the next 2 months, because according to the article...
Okay, let's quickly apprise our viewers with these pictures coming in. That is Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman now arriving at North Block. She has arrived at the Ministry of Finance. There, Nirmala Sitharaman, of course, has arrived there. The first pictures coming in this morning of the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. She, of course, is going to be the star of the day, the lady who will be presenting her sixth budget, and of course it is going to be in paperless form, as we were telling you earlier. She has now arrived at the Finance Ministry there at North Block on Raisina Hill. So clearly, of course, Nirmala Sitharaman has arrived there. There will perhaps be a quick final meeting before they leave for Rashtrapati Bhavan. And let me quickly go back across to Akshat. Akshat, as you were telling us, it of course is an interim budget. No perhaps big bang announcements expected, but certain yes, key grants, key outlays, key expenditure goals to be also laid out by the government today. Any source-based inputs that you can share with us? What are going to be the thrust areas?
Well, yes, as we were talking about, this is a vote on accounts. Of course, the fund will be allocated from the consolidated fund, and that's according to the Article 116 of the Constitution, which basically, meets the requirement of the government when it comes to, paying salaries of the employees. So that's an important aspect of it. Well, the Narendra Modi government is presenting their second interim budget. That's of course there, and also. In 2023, as we know, it was a full budget. Nirmala Sitharaman presented it, and the focus was on Amrit Kal, and the emphasis was laid out on incentivizing, the private sector. So, of course, that was in focus. But this time, the tax windfall is also basically in the kitty. Of course, some announcements will be made about the tax windfall, and it's also, the centre is also going to continue with their infrastructure push, and many taxpayers also, of course, you and me also expect that there are some changes which are going to be introduced when it comes for the taxpayers also, and MSMEs also are seeking for a more streamlined process so that the businesses can actually flourish. Most of course that's going to be the focus of the government.
Okay, let me also quickly go back across to our panel that's live with us. Amit Mishra is also joining us live. Amit, as far as, of course, now the government is concerned on certain schemes of the government as well, certain ambitious schemes that the government has, do you expect that there will be key outlays for those ambitious schemes? These are, of course, schemes that have been highlighted recently in the Viksit Bharat Yatra as well, that in fact the PM has been addressing himself and his ministers have been partaking in. Do you expect those schemes, to be keenly highlighted today?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You're also asking about the affordable housing.
Yes, and meanwhile, we're also getting word that MOS Finance has arrived there. I think Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has also been spotted at the Finance Ministry. Meanwhile, other key secretaries have also arrived there as well. Yes, Amit.
Yes, so regarding the affordable housing, so obviously the real estate sector has been recommending for a long time that there needs to be standardization and rationalization to the definition of the affordable housing, because the definition was given and it was capped at 45 lakh rupees in this 2017, and nothing has changed since then. So obviously the overall capping needs to be increased at least to 75 lakhs for affordable housing, so that more people can avail the benefits of the same. And the other deductions which are available to normal taxpayers for such schemes under Section 24 and also under Section 80C. So the limits need to be increased in those sections also, so that there is more tax benefits available to people who are going for affordable housing. So these are like a couple of more measures that we will expect that are provided by the finance ministers in the current budget.
Yes, perhaps that's something that Pankaj Mittal, we can expect, isn't it? Obviously, it is important for the government to lay out these numbers for the next fiscal. Pankaj, as far as the fiscal is concerned, do you believe that it will also be a fiscally prudent budget this time around, considering no big bang announcements can be made, but obviously the government wants to maintain its balance pretty accurately?
The C is expecting some changes and some relaxations in the schemes. As Amitji said, it is very right that they are expecting to increase in the deductions of ATC and mediclaims. As we know that there is a very huge budget of every middleman to spend in education as well as in health. There are very high premiums of insurance which have been increased since 2 or 3 years. Everyone is increasing deduction. But on the other hand, the assessee is also expecting the simplicity of the calculation for tax, because there are 2 regimes. In new regimes, we are not going to get any deduction. Since the last 2 years, our new regimes, the limits are increasing. But we will, on the other hand, we will get no deduction. Yes. No deduction on account of ATC, no deduction on account of education fees, tuition fees, mediclaims. If the SSC has to avail the deduction, they have to go to the old regime, and where in the old regime there is no increase in the limit. So we expect that, and all the SSCs are expecting that there should be some relaxation in the new schemes also. There should be some reductions in new schemes also, so that they can take the benefit of increased limits as well as for their investments. And because investment is the backbone of a middleman. For the want of that tax relaxation, they always save some money for their future, for the education of their children, and for the insurance. So then everyone should get some relaxation and simplicity in the calculations of tax.
Okay. Let me also quickly, before I go back to Dr. Mittal, get in Ajay Dua on the stock market as well. What do you expect, from the stock market today, pre and post budget, Ajay Dua? And what will the stock market's, response and reaction tell us about the interim budget?
Yes. Thank you, Uday, for a question which will become, the answer to which should become visible, should be apparent within a couple of hours.
Yes.
I think the stock market is not expecting too much in the long term longer term from the budget, but the stock market also does not expect anything adverse to be done during the interim. And I think the government is fully cognizant of these facts, and that the stock market should, on the whole, react positively to the measures which the government might indicate for the way forward for the rest of the year when it comes up with a full budget. And second, by providing for the schemes and the positive ones, particularly on the services and the manufacturing sector, the continuing that emphasis and not closing down any scheme, the stock market, that itself would also give it a degree of enthusiasm.
Yes, absolutely. And, also now, okay, we're already in fact seeing the numbers. Sensex is up 612 points ahead of the interim budget. So that is the answer in itself. As we were just talking, of course, with Ajay Dua about. So these are the breaking numbers coming in. Sensex up 612 points ahead of the interim budget. What will be, though, the numbers of the day today, we perhaps will know in some time from now. But Sensex was up 612 points ahead of the interim budget. Interestingly, Dow, though, has closed 300 points lower at the final closing of trade. Dr. Mittal, a quick question to you on also now, the goal of the government is the $5 trillion economy by 2025. Also, of course, India is aspiring to become the third largest economy in the world. As far as this is concerned, these goals are concerned, how much do you believe today's budget and then the subsequent one later in the year are going to be crucial in this quest of ours? And what progress do you believe the government has made, towards this goal in the last few years?
Charismatic leader, not of India, but of the world. And he is known for bringing very positive surprises. Though this budget is an interim budget, but I still feel this is the 10th budget of present government, Shri Modi ji government. So I hope this interim budget itself will lay the foundation for making India a $5 trillion economy soon. And it must be having certain measures. It must be having measures which will bring India in the line of developed countries very soon, very soon. So I am having very high expectations of this budget and of course consequent budget, which will definitely lay foundation of the growth of this country, making us very strong $5 trillion economy soon, and to make India developed country very soon. That's my faith. This is my confidence.
All right. We will, of course, keep a close eye on the Union Budget 2024.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.